Okay, so I keep on getting asked how to do an FG knot. We're going to see how the camera work goes. I'm not as good on the camera as a lot of the guys that are doing close-ups and stuff like that, so I don't know how this is going to come out. But this is 25-pound braid, and this is a 40-pound leader, so this is the sort of stuff that we'll be using in pretty thick snags for bigger size fish. We've downsized everything progressively over the years, and we've gone from like 30-pound braid and 50-pound leader, which is what we used to use for barras, right down to 20-pound braid with 30-pound leader. You do get busted off a little bit more with a lighter leader and the lighter braid, but your bite rate doubles. So most people that we've sort of spoken to about this that have tried it have all come up with the same conclusion. So an important part of it, any rig, is the knot joining the leader to the braid. So I'm going to try and hold tension on this, because normally I hold this end of the braid in my mouth to hold tension on here while I'm tying the leader knot. So I've got my rod flexed in the rod holder, and I lay the leader over here so it takes out the slack in between. So what I've just got something tied on the end of the braid to hold it tight so I can torque at the same time. So what I'm going to do, put that there. So all we do is we lay, get that little kink off the end. We're going to lay the braid over the top, lay the leader material over the top of the braid like that, around about 6 inches. That's about 6 inches. So once we've laid it over, thumb on top, underneath, roll it forward, underneath, roll it forward, and every time I'm rolling it forward, you can probably see that I'm just rolling it back in on top of itself like that. Alright, so 10 of them on the side. Some people go down to as little as 15, so it's like 7 or 8 either side. Me personally, I don't like to risk anything coming undone, so 20 is a good happy medium. The thing is, the longer the wraps, like the more wraps you do, the longer the knot. And now I wind my leader onto the spool. I like long leaders. So the longer you make it, the worse it's going to cast off your reel. Now, I haven't been counting at all, so let's say that that's enough wraps, around about 1 inch long of wraps. Pinch it, point the leader away from you. Right, so your leader's actually pointing this way. Now with this end here, this is my tag end of my braid. I'll wrap it around both strands, like that. Pull it out to the side. Always put a bit of slobber on it when you're doing it. This is only a demo one, so. But pull it out to the side, twitch it down like that, so that stops anything coming undone here now. Alright, so a bit of slobber, or water, or something like that to lubricate it. Get a wrap in your braid without your tag end. Alright, wrap in your leader, and then pull it as hard as you can until it changes colour, which means it's bitten into the surface of the leader material. So we tweak that down. Now, I use my teeth to snig all my hitches down. This one's called a Rizzuto Finish, so it's basically exactly the same as a half hitch, but instead of going through once, you go through 4 times. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have to get my ugly big dial in here. Alright, so out to the side, pressure out to the side, and slide down at the same time. Lock that down in on top. So that's a 4-turn Rizzuto. Then we do a 2-turn, and basically all the 2-turn is doing is making sure that there's no way that the 4 can come undone. Alright, so snig that down. This is where we trim our leader off. Now some people will singe the end of the leader when they trim it off, but the whole idea is to trim this off as close as possible to your bindings, and then it's a simple matter of doing the 4, then the 2 again, and this is creating that ramp that I was talking about. Right, so another knot that a lot of people get confused with is called a Bimini Twist. So basically a Bimini Twist is to wrap around, double your braid over around about 2 feet. Put your finger in there and spin your finger minimum 40 times. Right, so once you've done that, don't know how many that is, but that'll do for demonstration purposes. Hook it over something that doesn't have a sharp edge on it. Hold some tension on your main line. And if you watch what happens, let me finger in here. If you watch what happens here, this is the important bit. Alright, so as I pull up with my finger here, I've changed direction with my finger here to make this bind back down over itself. If I went like that, it would just keep going up like that. But if I change direction and point it back that way and pull up with this finger here, watch what happens here. Right, so it binds over itself all the way down to your finger. Pinch it, do one single hitch around one strand, that locks it like that. It stops it coming undone. Form a loop around both strands like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Pull it out to the side, slide it down, lock it on like that. Trim your tag end around about 3 or 4 mil, 3 or 4 mil away, and that's your Bimini Twist. Okay, so to join that onto your leader, I'll show you. Right, so this is 50-pound braid onto 80-pound leader. So same sort of thing you'd be using for your reef rigs and stuff like that, but you can cast with it as well. So your Bimini goes over the top of your leader, pull about 6 inches through, hold with these 3 fingers, hold your braid firm and wrap that around there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. Back between the braid and the nylon, then pinch it, and as I start to load it, it'll start to spin around itself. That's when you let the main knot slip out from between your fingers, but you're still hanging onto the tag end in this hand here. Once it gets to there, put a bit of slobber on it, get a really good wrap in one hand, really good wrap in the other, and as you form it down, it'll lock on top of itself like that. And this is called, there's 2 different names for it. One's called a Cairns Deckies knot. The other one's called a duck nose. Alright, so that's the way the knot forms up. Now me personally, I stand that tag end up, trim my tag end off around about 2 or 3 mil away, like that. Get my lighter. Now I bend it over the end of my finger here and protect the line on this side and that side so the heat can't affect it. I only want to heat up that little tiny stub end there, like that. And just light it and then roll it while it's soft. Doesn't burn your fingers, and that seals the knot. Now it casts and it can't go anywhere. It's a really good knot. So to tie a lure on, it's just a simple matter of doing an overhand knot like that. Go through the eye of your lure, like that. Go back through your loop that you just formed. Slide it down till you get to the size of the loop that you want. So I want a fairly small loop that's popper. So pinch it there, wrap your tag end around 1, 2, 3, back through your loop there, slide him down and lock him on. Always check it, test it, pull it and lock it. Make sure that there is no more play in the knot, like that. Trim your tag end off about that far away and you're away. What that knot does actually is it gives you a hinge point, so your lures work a lot more. It works with divers, plastics, poppers, all that sort of stuff. Once you get into really heavy leader material, some people won't use that knot, they'll go to crimps. Now, I've never really been a big fan of clips unless I'm using bigger lures, because the weight of the clip affects the action of the lure, especially on poppers and stuff like that. But with a 90mm sugar deep here, what I can actually do with these, because these new zip clips, they're a new clip out from Halco called a zip clip. It basically means that I can put my lure on really quick, really easy, like that, and there's no extra weight. There's minimal, absolutely minimal weight on the front of the lure, which doesn't affect the way that it zigzags through the water, and it doesn't sink the nose down, so I lose that little spit of water at the nose. Now these things are rated at 50 pound. I'm only using 20 pound braid, so those little fellas are rated at 50 pound, and we've tested these. Like, I put these under some pretty serious load the other day, so very handy little clip, and it saves you using up your leader material when you're using when you're changing lures a lot. Saves you fluorocarbon, which is not cheap, but it doesn't change the action of your lure.